Here we are at CROWNHILL Fort, looking at the possibilities of how the French would have attacked the rear of Plymouth to get at the dockyard, which is their main objective. Major reason at CROWNHILL Fort is this is the most level ground you can find. If we look to my left, we have falling ground down the valley, right down in front of Woodlands, Knoll, Ernesettle, Agaton, right down to the river. So they would have had to come down one side, across the bottom and back up again. And the same on my right. If I take to the right, that would have been Bowden, the garden centre. Now again, you have falling ground and rising ground to a small battery. Makes it a lot harder to fight when you're going uphill. But here is the flattest section that you can find. So we would surmise that the French would have landed at Loo, Brixham, Berry Head, Dartmouth possibly, and come overland, fighting their way through to try and get to a point just this side of Rowborough. Mainly because the guns above the 7-inch Moncrief would fire as far as Plessis, which is the roundabout at Rowborough. So you have to cover that ground, but they're hoping that this is flat ground, that they can advance on it quite comfortably. We're standing on the top of the glacé slope. Classic way to attack the fort is to come up the glacé. Try and stand where I am now. The only trouble being, you're then silhouetted against the skyline by the riflemen in the rifle loops, who are protected. So they can see us and fire direct over the top. The likelihood of we being able to fire into one of the rifle loops is very, very unlikely. You've then got to advance and drop into the ditch. Now the ditch again would have been water filled. The idea there is that we would protect the ditch by damming the western side of the two leats, the Plymouth and the Devonport leat, divert the water into the ditch. We take our riflemen who are down below, you got 6 on each level down at the bottom, you bring them up, so you still then have 2 cannon, 6 riflemen at the top and 4 at the cannon level, still defending what would be a water-filled ditch. So it can work 2 ways. We can do that first, or we can do it as a combination. The French are coming in over the ground. We can put charges in underneath the hillside, observe from the top. When they get there, we can blow them up from underneath. That would effectively dammed the leat, but we'd have to do that after we flooded the leat, because we dam on the western side first. Once they're up here, they've got to try and get past everything. 2 haxos, double haxo, 7-inch Armstrong. Round the corner from that is a Moncrief. There's a 32-pounder muzzle loader on a C-pivot. You've then got 32-pounder smoothbore breech loaders covering the ditch. You've got to get into the ditch. Now, the only place that you can possibly do that is in the end of the North Caponier. On the North Caponier, there's an extension gallery. If you can get to the middle of the extension gallery and blow a hole in there, the only unprotected place you can stand in the ditch. If you can blow a hole in there and try and blow that section away, and again blow this side down, you form a bridgehead, you can run across. Again, CROWNHILL. Why attack CROWNHILL? It's one of the 3 major forts of Plymouth. The idea is that from the top of the hill you can look across and you can see the dockyard. So if you can see the dockyard, what stops you using our guns that have been captured, spinning them round, fire into the dockyard? Readily available. You can stand on the top and you can see everything that moves in the river. Bearing in mind, these trees didn't come in until 1922.
So if CROWNHILL fell, Plymouth and the dockyard would be in a pretty bad situation.
Yes, if CROWNHILL went down, you would almost certainly lose the dockyard. There again, there is a speculation that you would have had 3 or 4 weeks notice of landings and fighting over ground, and the powers that be would have been looking at maps thinking where they can attack and all the rest of it. So you would have been bringing in troops from the rest of the southwest to try and bolster everything up. On every 6 foot around the fort. The fort is 2/3 of a mile long. That means you need a man every 6 foot for 2/3 of a mile. So you would have used up quite a bit of Granby battery or Legionnaires battery in riflemen alone just to man the rifle loops, because the only people that were stationed here in the fort would have been the Royal Artillery gunners. Now they would have been full-time gunners, but also the forerunners of the TA. You can be denoted by that. If you see a man in uniform and he's got a yellow band on his pillbox, he's a regular. If you see another man and he's got a red band, no, he is only a forerunner of the TA. He's a volunteer. He only has to come for 26 days a year, wear his kit, make sure he still knows what his drill is and what he's going to do, and then he'd go away again. He'd be the, you know, the Captain Mannerings and the Pikes and, you know, Joneses.
What do you think would have happened at the northeastern defences, Fort Austin, Efford, etc.?
You can really discount them, because with the attack coming this way, what is the point of attacking further to us, the east side, of doing Fort Austin, Efford and Lyra? You've got the water down in front of you. It's an even harder obstacle to try and clear. Marsh Mills, for instance, it's a marsh. You've got to try and get all your equipment across. Fight. It's not worth doing. You're better off spear pointing the attack here and splitting the northern defences. Once you can split the northern defences, directly behind Crownhill is a major road, which, when the forts were being built, was the military railway, which ran one end to the other. It's a lovely flat road, and away you go.
When you say military railway, do you mean railway?
Railway as in, we need to transport stone, equipment, men to the building of all the forts. So at the rear of it, what is now Crownhill Road, goes right the way out to Ernesettle, Agaton. Yeah, that is one road, and along there they had a steam railway, 2 tracks, little saddle tanks, little flat carts. You could put the stone on there, chuff, 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 drop it off to where it needs to be for building.
Would that railway be part of the defence or just the construction of the forts?
No, just the construction. Once it's done, it's got no other purpose, because everything is supported by itself.
So once the construction was done, the railway would have been removed?
Yes.
John, thank you very much.
No problem.